beneath the brooding shadow of Edinburgh Castle, where the cobbled streets of the old town twist like veins through Scotland's storied past, lies Greyfriars Kirkyard, a hallowed ground of weathered gravestones and whispered secrets. This ancient burial site, nestled among the city's soot-stained tenements, is a tapestry of faith, rebellion, and death. Its moss-covered tombs bearing the names of Edinburgh's elite and its martyrs. Yet among the silent stones, one monument casts a darker pall, the Black Mausoleum, tomb of Sir George Mackenzie, a 17th century lawyer whose name is synonymous with both justice and savagery. Here, the Mackenzie Poltergeist, a malevolent force of supernatural vengeance, stalks the kirkyard, its wrath a chilling reminder that some debts are paid not in life, but in the restless shadows of the grave. The tale begins with Sir George Mackenzie of Rosehall, a towering figure in Scotland's turbulent 17th century, whose intellect and ruthlessness shaped an era of blood and piety. Born in 1636, Mackenzie was a scholar, author, and the Lord Advocate under Charles II, tasked with enforcing the Crown's will during the Covenanter Wars, a brutal campaign to crush Scottish Presbyterians who defied the King's imposition of Episcopalianism. Known as Bloody Mackenzie for his unrelenting persecution, he oversaw the imprisonment, torture, and execution of hundreds of Covenanters, devout rebels who clung to their faith against royal decree. In the Grassmarket, gallows groaned under the weight of his sentences. In the Covenanters' prison, adjacent to Greyfriars, men and women starved or froze in open cages, their cries echoing through the kirkyard. Mackenzie's legal precision was matched only by his cruelty, earning him both fear and loathing. When he died in 1691, his grand mausoleum in Greyfriars, a domed black stone edifice, stood as a monument to his power, its iron gate a silent sentinel over a man whose hands were stained with blood. For centuries, Mackenzie's tomb rested undisturbed, its occupant a footnote in Edinburgh's history, the kirkyard a place of quiet reverence. But in the winter of 1999, an act of reckless desecration shattered that peace, awakening a force that would make the Black Mausoleum infamous. A group of teenagers, fueled by bravado and cheap cider, broke into Greyfriars Kirkyard under cover of night, their torchlights dancing across the gravestones. Drawn to the mausoleum's grim reputation, they forced open its rusted gate, defacing the interior with graffiti and, some say, disturbing the very earth where Mackenzie's coffin lay. One boy, in a moment of daring, pried open a stone slab, only to flee in terror when a gust of frigid air surged from within, carrying the faint sound of a low, guttural growl. The teen's laughter turned to screams as they stumbled back into the night, unaware that their intrusion had stirred something ancient and vengeful. In the weeks that followed, Greyfriars Kirkyard became a crucible of supernatural terror. Visitors to the mausoleum reported an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the air itself pulsed with hostility. Some felt invisible hands shove them against the tomb's walls. Others bore scratches and bruises that appeared without cause, their skin marked by welts in the shape of claw marks. A groundskeeper, tending graves in 2000, collapsed after a crushing weight pinned him to the ground near the mausoleum, his breath stolen by an unseen force. It was like being buried alive, he later told a local paper, his hands trembling. Something hated me being there. The phenomena escalated, with reports of sudden cold spots, disembodied whispers cursing in Scots, and shadowy figures lurking at the kirkyard's edges. The tomb, once a curiosity, was dubbed the Black Mausoleum, and the Mackenzie Poltergeist became Edinburgh's most feared spectre. What sets the Mackenzie Poltergeist apart is not just its violence, but its palpable malevolence, a force that seems to feed on fear and defiance. Witnesses describe a presence that is both personal and relentless, as if the spirit, whether Mackenzie himself or a darker entity drawn to his sins, targets those who linger too long. "It's not just a ghost, it's a predator," says Fiona MacLeod, a tour guide who has led Greyfriars Ghost walks for 15 years. "I've seen grown men weep near the mausoleum, their faces pale as death. Once, I felt something grab my wrist, hard enough to bruise. I don't stand too close anymore." Fiona's account is one of hundreds. In 2004, a tourist from Glasgow claimed to see a tall, cloaked figure in a periwig standing inside the mausoleum, its eyes glowing like embers before it vanished. In 2011, a child on a school trip screamed after feeling a bad man breathe on her neck, pointing to the tomb's locked gate. Theories abound about the poltergeist's origins. Some believe it is Mackenzie's spirit, enraged by the 1999 desecration and seeking to punish the living for disturbing his rest. Others argue that the tomb has become a nexus for the anguish of the Covenanters he'd persecuted, their collective suffering manifesting as a vengeful force. A darker hypothesis suggests that Mackenzie's cruelty in life attracted a malevolent entity, perhaps a demon or elemental spirit that now uses his tomb as a gateway. Historical records offer tantalizing clues. A 1680 pamphlet describes Mackenzie as a man whose heart is stone, his justice a blade, while a Covenanter's diary, found in Edinburgh's archives, curses him to wander without peace. The kirkyard itself, built on plague pits and execution grounds, is a place of layered trauma, its soil steeped in centuries of pain. Greyfriars community has grappled with the poltergeist's legacy, blending fascination with fear. In Edinburgh's Old Town, the Banshee Labyrinth pub serves a bluidy Mackenzie stout. Its label depicting a skeletal hand clawing from a tomb, and local storytellers weave the tale into Samhain festivals. Yet residents tread lightly near the kirkyard after dark, wary of its pull. "My gran warned us never to mock the mausoleum," says Callum Reid, a 62-year-old bookseller whose family has lived near Greyfriars for generations. She saw a shadow there in the 70s, tall and angry, like it was judging her. She said the kirkyard remembers what Mackenzie did. The kirkyard, maintained by the City of Edinburgh Council, draws thousands of tourists annually, many lured by its Harry Potter connections and ghostly fame. Guided ghost tours, especially the City of the Dead tours, stop at the Black Mausoleum, where guides carry first aid kits for fainting or scratched visitors, a precaution born of experience. Paranormal investigators have flocked to Greyfriars, drawn by the poltergeist's intensity. In 2016, the Scottish Paranormal Society conducted a month-long study, using thermal cameras, electromagnetic field, EMF detectors, and electronic voice phenomenon, EVP recorders. Their findings were chilling. Thermal imaging captured a tall, humanoid shape moving inside the locked mausoleum. EVP recordings yielded guttural voices, snarling, leave, and blood. And EMF spikes surged near the tomb's entrance, accompanied by a sulphurous odor. "It's the most active site I've ever studied," says Dr. Ewan Campbell, a parapsychologist who led the investigation. "The energy is aggressive, almost personal. Whether it's Mackenzie or something he summoned, it doesn't want us there." Skeptics attribute the phenomena to psychological suggestion or the kirkyard stamp, echo-prone environment, but even they admit the mausoleum's atmosphere is oppressive, its silence too heavy, its shadows too alive. Folklore adds depth to the haunting, with some tales claiming the poltergeist is bound by a curse tied to Mackenzie's crimes, its power growing with each act of disrespect to the tomb. Others whisper that the Covenanter's spirits fuel the disturbances, their unrest a mirror to Mackenzie's own. A 19th century Edinburgh rhyme warns, "Touch not the Bluidy's grave, beware. For wrath awaits the fool who dares." Whether the poltergeist is Mackenzie, his victims, or a darker force, its impact is undeniable. Since 1999, over 500 documented incidents, fainting, scratches, and unexplained injuries have been linked to the mausoleum, prompting the council to restrict access to the tomb except during guided tours. Greyfriars Kirkyard remains a place where history and horror converge, its gravestones a silent chorus to Edinburgh's bloody past. The Black Mausoleum, with its blackened stone and iron gate, stands as a grim sentinel, the air around it thick with unspoken rage. The castle above looms like a judge, its shadow a reminder of the power Mackenzie wielded and the price he paid. Whether the Mackenzie poltergeist is a spirit of vengeance, a manifestation of collective pain, or a tale spun by the city's ghosts, it is an indelible part of Greyfriars' soul, its wrath a thread in the kirkyard's tapestry of terror. For those brave enough to visit, tread softly by the Black Mausoleum. Listen for the whisper of a curse, the scrape of unseen claws, or the sigh of a soul that cannot rest. Sir George Mackenzie, or whatever haunts his tomb, still watches, his legacy a warning that some graves are best left undisturbed, and some sins are never forgiven. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, like, subscribe and comment below.